I'm Doc Wrestling. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Don't Oversell Wrestling. I haven't worn this shirt since my first video, and drugs are bad. So today we're going to be talking about what if. Yes, finally. What if what if Sting would have came to the WWEF around the invasion angle in about 01, 03-ish. Well, it happened in '01. But so, going into his history, Sting was actually originally a co-owner of a Gold's Gym after he finished school and everything. He was really more into bodybuilding. It wasn't until he went to a WWF event where he was like, I can see myself doing this. So he went ahead and started wrestling for the CWA, Continental Wrestling Association, under the name The Flash. He was actually with Jim Justice, who was actually, his real name at the time was Jim Hellwig. But he's better known as the Blue Meanie. I'm lying. It's actually the Ultimate Warrior. So they wrestled as a tag team in that company. They went to the UWF, the Universal Wrestling Federation, which was actually bought by the NWA, where Flash would change his name to Sting, and Jim would go to greener pastures, so to say. WWF. So then, in the early 80s, the late 80s, like 89 or something, WCW ended up buying NWA, and that's how they ended up being a company within themselves. They had picked up contracts like Sting, Ric Flair, Steamboat, and a lot of other people. But within that time span, with all these companies, Sting was still having these great matches at Starrcade against Flair, against Steamboat, against all these big name people. So when WCW came into the picture, Sting became that head person. The first match on the show ever was him versus Ric Flair. And it was the surfer, light, flashy Sting at the time. Wasn't until the mid to late 90s that Sting realized that he had to change with the times. NWO was there, Hogan was there as Hollywood Hogan at the time, and a lot of things were going different. So he actually wrestled in Japan in the US Japan tournament that year. He made it to the second round, and he came back to WCW. When he came back to WCW, he started doing the Crow Sting gimmick, where he would stay in the crowd in the rafters by himself. He would approach certain wrestlers. He wouldn't really talk to anybody at all until he had his match with Hogan, which solidified his place, I guess to say, in WCW once again. Now, I'm not saying this was his first title run, because Sting has had endless title runs. From TV to world championships and everything under the sun, tag teams and all. But, this was just a crowning moment for Sting around the time to get him over as this new Sting. So the last few years of WCW, Sting actually stayed with the company as much as he possibly could. But, things didn't always go how they were supposed to. In 2001, Vince McMahon ended up buying WCW from Ted Turner and TBS, and a lot of wrestlers didn't come over. So Sting was one of those wrestlers who was like, I'm not going to Vince McMahon, even though people like Ric Flair told him like a long time ago, you should have went to Vince McMahon. But that's not something that he wanted to do. So after that, he went to TNA for 11 years. And it wasn't until November 2014 that he finally, wrong one, went to WWE. Yeah. Now, when he finally went to WWE, it wasn't what it was supposed to be, because he was, later in his years. He was all banged up from 30 years now of, 25, 30 years now of wrestling. And it was just getting to him. So he came at Survivor Series 2014. He didn't have a match until that following year's WrestleMania, and it ended up being with Triple H, and it was just a bunch of old guys trying to relive the Monday Night Wars, which really didn't need to happen, because we still could have got Undertaker versus Sting. Granted, Undertaker was coming off his loss with Brock Lesnar the year before, but we still would have gotten a match that we wanted to see, but instead of two bad matches, to be honest. And yeah, I said it. Undertaker had a bad match at WrestleMania against Bray Wyatt. Somebody's going to comment on this. Somebody I know, he's going to comment on that. Anyway, his last match with the WWE came later that year, 2015, when he had a championship match, his only WWE championship match, or F, or whatever you want to. There was the only time that he challenged for their belt, and he ended up getting injured in the match off of a buckle bomb. He ended up retiring off of that match and never going back to the ring again. Now, what if Sting would have came earlier? Now, I feel like he would have been able to influence those big name wrestlers who didn't come over earlier, or who sat at home and waited for their contracts to end. So we would have gotten that, excuse me, Breakfast of Champions. We would have got that Goldberg, that NWO, that Lex Luger, those Scott Steiners, and all those people would have came over a lot earlier, making that invasion angle and that's final Survivor Series, ending it a lot stronger. Now, the Survivor Series that I'd have put, if we would have had those strong big names, WCW actual celebrities come over, I would have put Sting, Goldberg, Hall, Booker, and Flair versus Angle, Austin, Taker, The Rock, and Jericho. I mean, come on now. Can't go wrong. To end it out. But right around the corner, you have Royal Rumble. Now, with the Royal Rumble, you can mix all that up. You can mix, you're done the invasion angle. You just mix up all the people from the WCW and WWE. You have those matches where you'll determine who's going to keep what belt is going to stay and go, and everything like that. But you still have, those same matches that build up to WrestleMania 18. The only thing that I would change, honestly, about WrestleMania 18 is, instead of Stone Cold versus Scott Hall, we would have got Stone Cold versus Sting. And that would have been one of Sting's inaugural WrestleMania matches. Not saying that he wouldn't have participated in Survivor Series, and like I said, I wanted him to participate in Survivor Series, but not saying he wouldn't have participated in the Royal Rumble, or, well, that wasn't yet. But anyway, he still would have been a big part of that. Now, I also definitely want to address the biggest elephant in the room, Undertaker versus Sting. And this is how I guess I would do it. All right, here we go. To me, the streak didn't get really heated until WrestleMania 20 versus Kane, Undertaker versus Kane, when he came back as the dead man, the actual dead man. At this point, they had the Raw, SmackDown draft and everything like that. Shawn Michaels came out of retirement. A lot of big things was happening in wrestling, but why not keep both of them on two separate shows? Keep Undertaker on SmackDown, keep Sting on Raw, and if they do another draft, switch them or keep them on their respective shows. Now, I'm not saying Sting is not going to gain any titles, because, of course, it's Sting. He's going to get the WWE title. He's going to get whatever world title or whatever tag titles, or he's going to have beefs and encounter all types of wrestlers like MVP, Rey Mysterio, Batista, and everybody else. And he might even relive beefs with Ric Flair to keep things going, or to get Ric Flair back in line. But it's going to be those Survivor Series, those Royal Rumbles, those what was it? It was some stupid pay-per-view Vince came up with where it was the same thing as Survivor Series, except it was just brand supremacy. But anyway, those will be the times that Undertaker and Sting encounter each other. So now they've encountered at Royal Rumbles, they've encountered at Survivor Series, and night of main events and all types of stuff like that. But now it's 2008. WrestleMania. Undertaker just defeats Edge and makes him a part of the streak, but he wins the world title. The one that Sting and Flair's old belt. But the one that Sting used to hold also, one of his first world titles. After the pyros go off, everything dies down, the music stops. Undertaker's still in the ring, and Sting comes out. And he points at the Titantron with the bat. And on the Titantron it says WrestleMania 25, 2009. And Undertaker nods. And Sting nods. And now we have a year-long build-up for one of the greatest WrestleMania matches that never happened. Now, I know, but a lot of people don't. The Rock and John Cena had a year-long build-up to a match, which they used Twitter and, well, at the time it was MySpace and Facebook and every other social media feed that they could to build up their match for that whole year. In this case, because Sting and Taker aren't really big on social medias, and well, at the time Taker wasn't big on letting anybody into his real life or anything like that, and Sting wasn't a real big social media person, they would have played it all out in the ring, everything. So anytime Undertaker had a world title match or a big main event match or a Hell in a Cell match, you'll see like crows, popping up at the top of the ring. And then next thing you know, on the Titantron, it might say WrestleMania 25. And then Sting will have a big match or a submission match or elimination chamber or whatever the case is. And Undertaker give him a reminder and put out a casket or a tombstone with his name on it saying his birth date to WrestleMania 25. All the way up until WrestleMania 25. Now we finally get the match we want to see, and now I know y'all looking like, why WrestleMania 25? Well, that was the peak of Undertaker's career. That was the peak of Sting's career at that time. And I'm also going to put this out there. I'm not saying that Sting is going to win at all. It's a possibility, but at the same time, why? Because we have a legacy going on. We just wanted this one match. Not saying this match has to determine both their careers, because like I said in one of my older videos, actually matches that we wanted to happen that already happened, Undertaker and Sting had wrestled back in like 88, 89 already. So this was just a build up to what we wanted to see after, that into their, careers and everything like that. But I want to see in the comments what y'all think. Who should win, Undertaker or Sting? Let me know. But the rest of the streak, I feel like Undertaker should win, but the rest of the streak should still continue. He should still go up against Shawn Michaels twice, have that banger, because let's be real, at this point, Undertaker is really like, the streak is alive. He's racking up names, and people are starting to recognize and know they role and shut their mouth or play their position. Excuse me. Later on, coming down the line for fixing NXT and creating NXT and OVW and everything, Sting could still be an intricate part of that. It's not saying that he would oversee Triple H or anything like that. Not saying that he would be this William Regal, but he can do different things. And even if he wanted to leave and go to Impact or AEW, New Japan, All Japan, Ring of Honor, or wherever, he still has that opportunity to, because he might have been more so kept safe and taken care of in the WWE opposing to where he was at TNA. So that's my video. This video really took a lot because I have really recorded this like 4 times. I had audio issues. I had inebriation issues. My birthday went by. Life, but I finally got it done. I hope y'all like it. This was actually a request from one of my subscribers, so thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing my videos. Thank y'all for watching. I hope all of y'all stay blessed out there, stay safe, wear your mask, hand sanitizer, all that, and put some lotion on your elbows. I'm out.